Welcome back, everybody, to Photography Tips and Tricks, your show for gear tips, inspiration, anything you need to get your photography to the next level. My name is RC, and I wanted to answer some viewer questions that we had on posing and the types of things that you can work on with posing. When you're working in photography, posing is probably one of the hardest things for you to get over. And you'll notice it very, very immediately in your pictures. A lot of the times when working with people, there's a sense of confidence that you need to be able to have when you're working with the human form and telling the human form what to do. And a lot of the times when we're working with that, people generally have questions of like, how do I take myself over to the next level? How do I get myself to offer information to that person that makes a good pose? Well, I wanted to spend some time talking to you a little bit about the kinds of things that I do when I'm working with this. Now, first off, a lot of the times when I'm working with people, right, I want to use my hands and my connections to be able to do that, right? So a lot of the times I like to use this Manfrotto stand to do that, right? I'll put my camera away from my hands when I'm working, and I just tend to focus up, down, right? I'll put it on a ball head if I need to articulate, but a lot of the times when I'm working, I want to make sure that I'm talking to you, we're focusing together, and this camera just happens to be here to be able to record some stuff. I might even add a remote trigger to this so that I can press it. So that way, when we're doing something, we can just go ahead and just, oh, there's a shot, there's a picture. Yeah, we're talking, and in the middle of us talking, there's pictures that are happening. So rather than have this, here we are, oh, there we are, oh, there. That kind of dynamic, I think, breaks a lot of the concentration that happens. So having it away from me, where I can just kind of press the button, that's something that's very easy. So that's one tip. Take the camera out, talk to the person, make sure that your lens is sitting around the same space, right, as your eyes, because you don't want necessarily somebody to be like this when they're making pictures. Not a good thing. Second thing that I would tell you is an old trick. I learned this from David Zeiser, and I thought it was a great trick, right? So imagine if all of a sudden I do this, right? And I do this to you, and I say, I got your nose, right? So let's see if we can do a close-up of this. What I want to be able to do is I want to be able to do two things. I've got your nose, and I've got your head, right? I got your ears. So imagine if these are the ears, and imagine if these are your nose. So if I told you, I've got your nose, and I went like this, what would you do? Go ahead and do it, right? Right? You're moving your nose up and down. And what if I told you I've got your ears, right? And I did this. What are you doing? You're turning. So rather than spending time going, turn your nose to the right, no, turn to the left, no, I turn this way, it doesn't make sense. You want to be able to get the person to the pose as fast as possible, going, all right, right there, oh, wait, right there, you're good. So simple commands. That's something that I think is really important. Now, once you have that down, right, the next thing that you want to get down is mimicry. This is something that a lot of people don't use when they're doing that. So now imagine, right, you want to see my arms and all that stuff, and I want you to do a pose. I'm going to sit here, and I don't want to go, well, put one hand on your head, one hand on your side, one hand on somewhere, and you're spending a lot of time trying to talk to people about things, right? Rather than that, just go out on a limb and do this. I want you to do this. Do you look stupid? Yeah, probably. If you look like this, you do. But here's the thing. What happens is that we're so self-conscious as photographers trying to work the dials and trying to work the buttons, and we're so freaked out about what happens here that we don't spend a lot of time putting ourselves out there, making ourselves uncomfortable. Though this looks dumb, how does that look to that other person? Right? Now, they're going, oh, he looks weird, but I kind of know what he's doing. Let me try to go ahead and do that. And by getting your model closer to that pose, you shorten that gap, you increase the confidence. That's a good thing. The next thing that you can do with something like this is to understand that this takes time. When you're working with somebody that's new, a lot of the times I'll book a 2.5 hour session because I know that if a person hasn't done this before, it might take a little bit. We might want to talk, we might want to get to know one another, we might get to go, oh, well, we're looking for this one portrait. Obviously, if you have the time, do that. But you want to spend some time kind of getting to know that person, talking to the person about the process, and in the process of it, you're out there and you're making pictures. Understand that when you do that, the pictures usually, you'll get some good ones in the beginning, right? Because they're not kind of aware that it's happening. but you'll definitely see an increase of good shots towards the end. That has to do with the fact that the person that you're with is going to warm up, hopefully, to you. So don't expect amazing things in the very beginning of the process. Understand that you guys are getting to know each other and that process takes a little bit of time. Now, the last thing that I can tell you to do is to educate yourself. Make sure that you educate yourself in the concept of posing. What can I tell you to do for that? Picture Perfect Posing, right? This is a great book aimed to get you up and running with the concept of posing, right? You can get this over on the Peachpit website. Take a look, it's right here. Picture Perfect Posing, Practicing the Art of Posing for Photographers and Model. Roberto Valenzuela. Easy. What else can you get? Photographing Women, 1,000 Poses. This is a hardcover book that you can study and kind of develop a bank of ideas for what to do when you're doing posing. 2 things that you can do right there. On the Kelby One site, if you're a person that is a Kelby One member, take a look at Jerry Guiones. Jerry Guiones has got a phenomenal class on how to be able to do poses. I'm going to show you exactly where it is. Picture Perfect Lighting, Picture Perfect Posing Techniques. This is the class that's going to get you up and running with how to be able to pose. At the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you can take your posing to the next level. You need a bank of resources, you need some techniques to be able to move, and you need time, right? This is a technique, this is a technique, this is a technique. Once you have the techniques and the moves, a little bit of time will go a long way. Now, this is talking about posing, let's say, the general adult. We have Pete Collins coming in after the break to talk to us about an exploration that he's done with his workshops with posing with children. Stick around, we'll be right back.
Hey everyone, my name is Matt Klaskowski, and I want to let you know that we've put together a Lightroom mobile launch center over at Kelby One. Ever since the iPad came out, there's really been one overwhelming request from Lightroom users, and that's Lightroom integration with the iPad. Well, it's here, and it's called Lightroom Mobile. And we put together a launch center with videos, tips, links, and FAQs to help you get up and running with it. And don't forget, the launch center, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. We hope that you'll check out the hundreds of courses and videos that we have over at Kelby One that teach you Lightroom, Photoshop, photography, and really all things creative. So head over to Kelby One, check it out.
Okay, well, RC asked me to come in here and talk a little bit about my kids' photography. I just got back from a great kids' workshop in Chattanooga with a bunch of friends of mine, and the thing that I came away from it is that in order to really grab those real moments with the kid, you really need to have some good interaction. And the interaction happens in one of 2 ways. Either you've got something that the kid is interacting with that you are now observing and you're getting that real moment with whatever's happening there, or you are interacting with the kid in such a way that you are pulling the kid into your story and they're interacting with you in the camera. Now the whole thing is most of the time when I'm going out to take a picture do a portrait session with kids, I'm going to bring along one little prop, some little thing, or I'm going to look for something there. Because think about it, if you're really going after what that kid is really like, which is hopefully what we're doing, we're wanting to get a great picture of them that the parents are going to go, that's my kid. Most parents don't know their kid standing there going, because that's not how their kids are at all throughout the day. What they're used to seeing is that kid grabbing a stick and beating it or doing something or interacting with their siblings. And so if you can have one little thing that they can interact with, that reality and that personality will come through. At one of these workshops I came to, the girl was sitting there, the little girl was sitting there, and I was taking pictures of her, and it was good. But there was something that wasn't happening. You know, sometimes you're struggling when you're doing a portrait session and you're like, man, I really need something. Well, her father happened to notice this horse in the ice cream shop across the way. We stopped, we went over there, and I was able to schmooze the guy, and we stole that horse for a while and put it on this bridge. Now, after we put her on that horse and we started interacting and she started having fun, she was naturally engaged with that horse, and it was so easy to get those pictures, but that really broke through the ice of working with her. So then the next picture was able to happen where I started interacting with her, and it wasn't just her and the horse, it then became me and her taking a picture together. And that's what I'm always thinking about when I'm working with kids. The next time I had a girl that was kind of a little hesitant, I found a little snail. It was just crawling on a brick, and I was able to hand her that snail, and suddenly she's playing with that snail, and the emotion and the expression of her playing with that snail really brought out who she was. She started interacting with it. Things like this, a simple rope. And now these girls went from all being very stiff and trying to pose for us to suddenly they're really interacting with the scene. I mean, you can't get this kind of expression any other way than you have to incorporate something that they can interact with. Look at that face and that intensity. And the mother said, "That's my daughter right there." That's where it really paid off. Now, speaking of daughters, here's mine, and I have shot my kids a lot. They get tired of seeing the camera come out, so what I have to do is make sure that I bring at least one thing that I can interact that's a little different. And in this case, it was the chair. Just simply bringing a chair along, now she could sit down, she didn't have to feel stiff, she didn't have to feel uptight about what was going on. Suddenly she could loosen up and sit there and relax in the chair. The same type of thing here. The chair again, but then I wanted to show you it doesn't have to be a thing it doesn't have to be just a specific thing. Here, just having her climb up on the fence and grab a tree, she's now able to interact with that space and become real in that space. Now we have a picture of the two girls together. Here's a natural interaction that you become part of the observer. It's no longer about me trying to get shots of them and make them pose. It's just let them be themselves, and you get things that you could never get any other way. The expression on that girl comes completely from her being wrapped up in this conversation with her friend. And then finally, once you understand it's all about interaction, you may want to try some different things. Here's where my friend and I started spinning the girls around and taking pictures of them as they're spinning around. The interaction is fun. I worked on my panning. It's really kind of like reverse panning with them being still, their faces being still and everything else spinning around, but you get this natural joy and interaction that you couldn't get any other way. And so I just want to kind of give you those kind of thoughts to understand how a child, when you're photographing them, it really needs to be about interaction, either with a prop, something going on there, or it needs to be about you interacting. Just to finish up, I wanted to show you real quick, because some of you have asked before how we did the shot of the spinning, and it's really high tech. You have to be very special to be able to do this, but here's what it is. That's my friend Steve and I. And this is all it is, him spinning and me hugging him while we spin around over and over again. For the 4 shots that I got that were good, I probably took about 200 shots of us spinning around. And the thing I like about this video is I can now go back and do this all day long right here. But so anyway, that's the kind of things that you can do if you will appreciate the interaction. You're going to start interacting with the kids, you're going to get better results, and the parents are going to see you as somebody that cares about their kids, and hopefully they're going to have repeat business with you over and over again. So there you go. Make sure you're interacting, make sure you've got something to play with, and that can really break the ice and get some great portraits of children.
Nice, Pete. Nice, nice, nice. It's some good stuff, and a lot of the times it's like, I like bringing you in on the children's side of things because I think that you spend a lot more time kind of dealing with the overall experience of the child. It's like you're talking to them about, you know, being children. It's not just a...
Well, what we forget is that kids desperately want to please us. And so what they're so used to is the stand up and say cheese and do this and don't move around. And what happens is they become this little robot, or they try to do that, or they know they can't and they act up. When you bring something like a toy, even a stick or something like that, you give them the freedom to take the pressure off and be real in that situation, and you're relating to them on a level that they want to relate. and suddenly that stiffness and those weird smiles that I get from my kids all the time suddenly drops down, and you see the real them come out.
Nice, very, very cool. Now, I'm going to put Pete on the spot here. The website for us to be able to watch this week is going to be Pete Collins. So make sure that you go to petecollins.com. He's going to have a lot of information on not just illustration, but his blog does talk a lot about this kind of concept, shows a lot of the behind the scenes work. You can get to see some really good, cute, wonderful moments with children. And I think that at the end of the day, the photography is really, really good, but it's really capturing the expression of the child that's even better with most of that stuff. Thank you so much, Pete, for all of that.
Yep.
All right, so now it's time for us to go to the PeachPit ebook deal. Make sure you go to peachpit.com/Kelby1, enter in the code Kelby1, and you'll get 40% off of this ebook deal. So it's a great way for you to be able to take your photography and keep it going, keep learning, and you can do that right now, 40% off, right on the PeachPit website. Just make sure that you use the code Kelby1. Now, let's go ahead and do the contest. One of you guys is going to win a pass to Photoshop World. Now, Photoshop World is September 3rd through the 5th, 2014 in Las Vegas. This is the conference for you to be if you're into photography, if you're into Photoshop, if you're into design. Come learn with some of the world's best instructors in this. You can have a 3-day love fest right in Las Vegas, Nevada, September 3rd through the 5th. One of you guys will win a pass to that. If you want to see more information about that, make sure you go to photoshopworld.com. But to enter in for the contest, you want to go to the kelby1.com/webcast section. Go ahead and put in the show, photography tips and tricks. Go ahead and put in your name, your email, your website. Tell us a comment. Tell us what you want to see. Tell us what you don't want to see. Let us know this is your show. We want to make sure that we have that information set up for you. So that pretty much wraps it up for this week of Photography Tips and Tricks. My name is RC, and we'll see you soon. Take care.